welcome back to another episode of Movie Bracket Challenge.
This is my recap of Lilo and Stitch. The movie came out in 2002 and is so sweet. And obviously, I like Stitch. Stitch was actually an invention of one of the main characters in the beginning of the movie. Or, well, I consider him a main character, Jumbo. And I'm totally mispronouncing all the names in this movie. I'm sorry to all the aliens. But he was a creation, and he was meant to please the president, and he did not. He is made to destroy things and make a mess, and he does just that. They were going to destroy him. Instead, he escaped, and he stole one of the ships. With this, he destroyed a bunch of other ships, destroyed a bunch of stuff, but he managed to get away. And Jumbo, his creator, gets locked up in jail, and Stitch makes it to a planet Earth. At first, the president wants to just destroy the planet because Stitch is a mess. But one of the other aliens, Pleakley, he's an alien, one eye in the middle, really interesting. He said, no, you can't destroy this place because it's where the endangered species of insects are. So he suggests that they go down there. Well, he doesn't suggest, more like he gets told he's going to take Jumbo, the creator, and they're going to go get Stitch. And they're supposed to capture him. Well, Stitch has made it to Earth, and he meets a family. But before we get to that, Lilo, little girl, full of energy, full of life, and not full of so many friends. She tends to make a mess out of her dance class. She irritates the other little girls. She wants to be friends with them, though. But they don't really want to be friends with her because she did bite them in a fight. Or she bit the one girl who seems like she's the popular girl. So she feels alone in the world. We meet her sister, her caretaker, and her parent. Because this sister is all in one. Very sadly, we learn that Lilo has lost both her mom and dad, and her sister is her guardian. And her sister is desperately trying to stay her guardian. She does everything she can, despite there being constant pressure that she's going to lose Lilo. She works a bunch of jobs, which unfortunately leaves Lilo home a little bit, which for the social worker who comes by does not like this and does not think Lilo should be on her own. Nani, her sister, works a bunch of jobs, and one of the jobs has this young man who very much has a huge crush on her. And this guy also twirls, I have no idea what they're called, but they're lit on fire, which he has a habit of dropping and lighting other things on fire. So, but he is definitely someone who cares about Lilo and cares about Nani, and he's definitely looking to date Nani. He makes that very clear. Nani takes Lilo to get a dog at the pound. And well, this is where we meet Stitch, who has been put into the pound and is not very popular in the pound. All the other dogs are literally up on the ceilings trying to get away from Stitch. Lilo goes in to look around, see if she finds a dog she likes, and Stitch meets her, and he speaks. Even though he doesn't know at this point dog still. And he hugs her, and Lilo says, "This is the dog I want," to her sister. She tells her sister he can talk, and Nani goes, "Dogs can't talk." So, of course, then he pretends he can't talk because he wants to leave this pound. The person who runs the pound goes, "No, you don't want that dog." But they do take Stitch home. One of the most interesting things I found about Stitch is he actually has 4 arms, but he hides 2 of them inside his stomach, and so that he looks a little bit, I guess, more normal, more like this Stitch, but he does. Meanwhile, Jumbo and Pleaky, I'm totally saying their names wrong, are out to capture Stitch. They have made it to Earth. Stitch makes a mess of everything, and he really doesn't understand that Lilo is so desperately trying to love on him. She makes him a bed in her room. She tries to make him feel home. Makes him feel like part of Ohana. I'm definitely saying that wrong, but part of the family. And Stitch is starting to have feelings for her, but definitely also in it for himself. Meanwhile, they are trying to capture Stitch, but this is going terribly. They're not doing a good job. And Stitch is bonding with them. He even goes surfing into the water, which amazes Jumbo, his creator, because Stitch can't swim. But Stitch so definitely wants to be part of the family, he does it. Even though at this point, this does get him in a little bit of trouble because they're trying to capture him. He gets knocked off the surfboard, and then Lilo ends up in the water. The wannabe boyfriend does save everybody. But Nani is furious because the social worker has seen everything and has told Nani that the next day she's going to lose Lilo. Nani is heartbroken. She takes Lilo home. Stitch is left kind of in the dust, and the wannabe boyfriend does say it is sort of his fault. Lilo is not aware what's going to happen the next day. Nani is heartbroken, and we see everybody, including Stitch, who has made it home by this point, go to bed. But Stitch takes his favorite book, The Ugly Duckling, and goes outside. He drags it outside. He leaves Lilo, even though Lilo wants him to stay and sort of begs him to. But she says she won't make him. This is his choice. So he goes into the woods with the book, turns out to wait for his family. Jumbo finds him and says, "You don't have a family. I created you. You weren't born for anybody." And Stitch says, "Well, maybe I could have one." We do see the next day, this becomes the big mess. And the part where we finally see Stitch show his real feelings for Lilo. And there's a big mess where they are trying to capture Stitch. The Jumbo and Plico have been behaving. Well, Plico just behaves anyway because he values people, he values everybody. But Jumbo has been behaving because he's working for the president. Well, he's fired. So at this point, all rules are off and he's after Stitch, which means he doesn't care if anybody else gets hurt. But Stitch does care about Lilo, and he risks himself to save her. Even destroying the house, throwing the big blue bug car into the air. The house is destroyed. It's on fire. The social worker gets there. Not in the nick of time, though. He gets there after the house is destroyed. Not really know what's going on. And he tells Nani he's taking Lilo. He puts Lilo in the car. And he's about to take off with her. He's telling Nani. And Lilo gets out the other side. this is where Lilo really gets herself in trouble, because one of the other people who has come to get Stitch, now that he looks like a shark, has come to get Stitch, also accidentally gets Lilo too, because they're together. He puts her and Stitch in what looks like a bottle on the back of his ship, and he's off. Well, Stitch manages to get out, but he doesn't get Lilo out in time before the ship goes off. So he has to find a way to get Stitch. And then it turns out the aliens, his creator Jumbo and Plico and Nani is now figuring out Stitch is an alien. They're all aliens, but they got to work together to get Lilo back. And they do. And they go through quite an adventure with Stitch risking himself several times to free Lilo. And he eventually does get Lilo safe, but just in time, just in the nick of time. And then the president comes and Stitch is captured. And it's time for Stitch to leave. And this is my favorite moment out of the movie. Stitch asks if he can say goodbye. And she says, "Who are they?" And he says, "My family." And it's beautiful and it's sweet and it almost made me cry. So Stitch says goodbye to them. And then, just then, the social worker, who has met the president before, shares that the aliens are very much into rule and law. So he hints to Lilo to show her adoption papers, her ownership papers over Stitch. And she does. So the alien decides that Stitch will be banished to Earth, to Lilo and her family. And she leaves, and Nani gets to keep Lilo, and Stitch has a family. And it turns out Jumbo and Pleaky, they stay too. And they're all family now. And we see at the end Stitch making turkey and them just having really great family memories. So this is my recap of Lilo and Stitch. This is my recap of The Rescuers Down Under, a Disney 1990 movie. We reunite with Bianca and Bernard, and they are very much in love, and we're very excited to see them. This is one of the rare Disney movies that I think the second one is so much better than the first. I love the original Rescuers, don't get me wrong, but this one just has it all. So, beginning of the movie, we are in Australia. We meet a young boy, and he's definitely a friend to the animals. He risks himself to save a bird, and the bird saves him right back. He cuts the bird free, and as he's falling, the bird goes to rescue him, and bird puts him on her back, and they fly high above the sky, and then they even fly into the water, and it's just beautiful. You can see the bonding. The bird even trusts the little boy so much, he introduces the bird to her eggs. And they bond over the fact the bird doesn't have a father for the going to be baby birds soon, and the little boy no longer has a dad either. So they bond, and you can see the closeness. When the boy leaves the bird, he sees a mouse that's trapped. So of course, again, he's going to be a rescuer. He goes to rescue the mouse. The mouse tries to warn him it's a trap, and the boy falls into the trap. We meet our villain, and our villain is, I forget what they are, but they capture animals and stuff, but he is McLee, or Mr. McLee Glake. Anyway, he's our bad guy, and he tries to set the boy free. The boy says what he's doing is wrong, capturing the animals. He's going to tell his mom. This guy's going to get in big trouble. The man just sort of laughs him off. But as the boy is leaving, he sees the bird's feather attached to the boy, and he wants to know where the boy got it. And he figures out the boy does know where this bird is, and the bird is worth a lot of money, and the boy won't tell him. So he kidnaps the boy. And so begins our rescue to save the boy. We see Bianca and Bernard at a romantic dinner. Bernard is trying to propose to Bianca. He loses the ring, and as he's hunting for the ring, Bianca gets word that the boy has been taken, and they need to go rescue the boy. So Bernard and Bianca get on their way. We go back to where they fly out from the big birds, and their usual place is under new management. And that's where we meet Wilbur. And he is one of the best birds in all of Disney. I'm sorry, but he is my favorite. And he is so fun and such a character. He doesn't want to take them at first all the way to Australia. There's a blizzard after all going on outside. And he doesn't want to fly in this. But as soon as he hears about the little boy and how the little boy needs help, he's in. This bird is fearless and has the biggest heart. So Bernard and Bianca get aboard. The flight is quite interesting as he tries to take off, slides on the ice, does eventually get off. Bianca asks him, is it a non-stop flight? And he goes, no, we're going to have to get on a bigger bird. We do see that they board an airplane. And then as they're arriving to Australia, they are flying Wilbur again. Wilbur has to land. He goes into this little airport that says they're not big enough for him, but he don't care. He's going to land. Thankfully, there is a mouse that really makes accommodations and is on his way. He's definitely an Australia mouse, and he's quite full of himself a little bit. And he's quite taken with Bianca, as everyone is. She's beautiful, she's smart, and she's just breathtaking in every way. So Bernard's got a little bit of competition. Now, as we get into the movie, this mouse ends up being quite a snake capturer versus he can make the other animals help them get them where they need to be. The Australian mouse is Jake. We'll use his name. So Jake is helping them. He gets a snake to drive them through the water. He does mess up another time when Bernard is trying to propose. He gets some bugs to fly them. He really is a man with many talents. So Jake is quite impressive. But thankfully, our girl Bianca still only has eyes for Bernard. We see the little boy captured. He's in what looks like a dungeon in a cage. He meets a bunch of other animals that have been taken. And he's very sad, but he's also very determined to get out of there. He encourages the other animals to help him and to free themselves too. He's not giving up hope they're going to get out. However, the little boy ends up the next day getting himself in a big mess because he did not get out. And our villain takes him to try and get the bird. He ends up, sadly, leading them to the bird, but not willingly. He's a good boy who cares about this bird very much so. Once the villain has the bird, our mouses do catch up to them, and they're trying to free the bird and the boy. After all, that boy is what they came for. So Jake, Bernard, and Bianca are all in it to save the bird. And Wilbur is on his way. They do manage to save the little boy with the bird's help. Bianca and Jake free the bird while Bernard risks his life to save the boy from the water as he goes down. Now, because of all their interference, the villain does meet his end. And just as the little boy was also going to meet his end with Bernard, the bird comes to the rescue. And Bianca sees how amazing Bernard is, once again. Has she ever doubted it? And she says, "You are the hero." And just at this moment, Bernard finally gets to propose to Bianca, and they get their happy ending. The end of the movie, we see Wilbur is babysitting the eggs who hatch, and it's a great ending for everybody, and I love their love story. And I love, even in the end, Jake is rooting for Bianca and Bernard. So, let me know if this is your vote. Don't forget to vote, 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 comment section, and our community page.